and welcome to Wrong Way. And today we're going to compare the Tesla V2 by Begode or GotWay to the InMotion V10F. So let me tell you more about it. Wrong Way. And a big thanks to you guys because we just reached 30,000 subs. So huge thanks for that. I appreciate each and every one of you, each subscription, each like on the video, and each comment. We are growing as a community and it is just great. And because of that, there will be also a scooter giveaway. So comment below your Instagram name and why would you like to receive a scooter. The scooter will be a Hero 9, which I already reviewed on the channel before. Because we reached 30,000 subs before Bosmanetti. So anyways, if you want to enter the giveaway, just comment below why you would like to receive a scooter like that, what would you use it for, add your Instagram name, and you also have to be subscribed to the channel and follow me on Instagram. Okay, with that said, also huge thanks to mywheel.com for providing me both of these wheels for testing purposes, and actually, you know, the Tesla is actually bought at my eWheel. So this is here to stay. This will be going back to my eWheel headquarters, I guess. Today we will compare these two wheels. They're pretty similar in their price, and we will check what are the nuances and which one is the better choice for you. So I'll also take my notes. So we'll compare these two wheels in their performance, in their handling, features, build quality, practicality, off-road capabilities, safety, serviceability, waterproofing, and value. So today, very pro, and in each category, we will say which wheel is the better of these two. Okay, so starting with performance, both of these wheels have a 2000 watt, well, the Tesla has actually a 1900 watt nominal power motor, but you know, in the same ballpark, but the Tesla V2 is much quicker. It's just a much quicker wheel. It has bigger MOSFETs, it has a higher top speed, and if you want to just have a wheel that is very zippy, very quick, has a higher top speed, because here it can go like 40-45 kilometers an hour, and on the InMotion you can go 40, but it will tilt you back quite a bit. So usually you'll be going like 30-35, and on this wheel there's like no bigger issues with going 40 kilometers an hour with a bigger battery state. The same thing applies to acceleration and hill climbing. The Tesla will be always the winner here. And when it comes to just the pedal feel, how you ride on the Tesla V2, the pedals will just stay flat if you accelerate on the V2, and if you accelerate on the InMotion, they will just like sort of like go back and forth a bit. I don't like the feeling that much in the V10F when it comes to like accelerating and stuff. I definitely prefer the Tesla V2 here. This is a way more powerful wheel, higher peak output, and this wheel will be more prone to overheating and tilting you back. And yeah, amongst these two, when it comes to just speed, acceleration, and performance, the Tesla is the clear winner here. When it comes to the battery packs in these two wheels, they're actually very similar. So the Tesla V2 has 80 cells, and the V10F has also 80 cells. It's 20 batteries in series and 4 in parallel, 20 S4P. The difference is that the Tesla uses Sanyo GA cells, and the InMotion V10F uses LG MH1 cells. What does that mean? The capacity is bigger in the Tesla at 1020 watt hours, and the V10F has 960 watt hours. And I think that the Sanyo GA cells are the way superior cells in this regard. They have a higher capacity. I think they also last longer. And in our testing in the winter, we found out that this wheel at 45 kilometers ridden had still around 5% of charge, and I could definitely reach like 50 kilometers, as opposed to the V10F already pretty much dying at 40 kilometers, like 41. And the V10F also has a feature that once you reach 0 in the battery, I mean, it suddenly just tilts you back to the maximum, so you just can't ride it anymore. As opposed to the Tesla V2 giving you 80% power warning, so if you try to overpower it, you will hear constant beeping. And if your battery is low, it will start to first beep 3 times at you, which is pretty annoying if you're going through the city, but at the same time, it also notifies you that you have a low battery. And after that, it will also tilt the pedals back, but it will do that progressively. So it doesn't happen like on the InMotion, where it just tilts you back suddenly and you can't do anything anymore. But you actually can measure how far you can still go if you have a low battery pretty well on the Tesla V2. So in terms of battery pack, in terms of range, the Tesla V2 is also the clear winner here. In terms of charging, they're both pretty much the same rubbish, I would say, because they both have just a 1.5 amp charger, meaning charging time is like anywhere around 8 hours. But I think it's actually a bit easier to get a third-party charger for the Tesla. I have, for example, a 300-watt charger, so it charges in around 3 to 4 hours. But you can also do the same thing to the InMotion, but again, it's a third-party solution. Sadly, there's nothing out of the box to charge these wheels faster with. So this point in performance goes to the GotWay Tesla. Next thing I wanted to talk about is handling, and here we have a bit of a closer competition amongst these two. So in terms of the Tesla has a pretty thin tire. It's a 16-inch tire, but it's just 2.125. So the result of that is if you just ride with the Tesla and you tilt it a bit, it will turn less than the V10F with its 2.5-inch wide tire. In terms of just stability, I think that the Tesla is the winner here because it has a bit lower placed foot plates, which gives you a bit more stability, also at higher speeds, and it's also like a bit chunkier, a bit wider, so you grip onto it better, and the foot plates are also angled, so this also gives you additional grip. These foot plates are also now from the Sherman. I got them from the veteran Sherman, so these aren't the original ones, but still they're more angled than the ones on the V10F. It's not really prone to, I think it's called train tracking, so it doesn't like follow lines on the road, it just sort of goes wherever you want. The downside of that is that it's really easy to scrape the pedals here. It has not much clearance in the front, so off-roading it's like not really a thing you would want to do. Same with clearing curbs. Also with heavier riders, you will need to have a higher pressure here, which leads to a lower comfort because there's just not that much air inside like on the V10F. The V10F in contrast has a very much a higher position foot plates. The tire is also more exposed in the front, in the rear, so clearing curbs is not a problem. Also like some smaller stairs you can tackle, like you can go downstairs on this wheel without like bigger hassle. You shouldn't do that, but if you happen to do that, then it's better to do it with the V10F than with the Tesla V2. You can make way tighter turns with this wider tire and higher pedal placement, and also the turning ratio is much smaller and it's way harder to scratch the pedals here on the InMotion V10F. The battery is placed on the top and it's also a very thin wheel, so you can just wiggle it around. It's very nice to ride this wheel very slowly. And I have to say that in the handling category, I have to give it to the V10F. Kate doesn't agree with me here, and we will also listen to Kate, what she has to say about those wheels later. She looks very surprised now, but yes, you'll do. But I have to give the point here to the V10F. It's just, I like the wider wheel. You can feel the road better. It doesn't like wobble around. And if you tilt the V10F, then you can just instantly go in the other direction. So now it's 1-to-1. The next category is features. And both of the wheels are pretty packed with features. Let's start with the Tesla V2. On the front you can see a light which shines like that. Let's just turn it on really quick. It is a very focused beam, and it is not the strongest light. I would always suggest getting a secondary light next to that, maybe on your helmet. But it is a focus beam, shines pretty far ahead, but you know, it's not the best. You can see a lag though of a rear tail light, which is a great downside of the Tesla V2. You need to get additional lighting here, and there's actually room inside of this body. There's a plastic cover where they meant to put a backlight, but they didn't choose to. So anyways, on the Tesla V2, you also do get a set of speakers. It's on this side. the speaker. And you also get a light here, Tesla V2, and different presets of side lights here. Here, this is also the level of battery. The less of these lights you have, the less battery you have. On the front, we have a port, which I'll talk about also later. A USB port for charging is here, and also the on-off switch, which activates the light or the flashing of a light. I really like the flashing setting. Pedals are magnetic, and these are the original pedals of the Tesla V2, so they're much smaller. And in comparison to the InMotion V10F, they're still much smaller, and the grip tape here is really not the best. I think the one on the InMotion V10F is better. Other features include the trolley handle, which is relatively high. This is the level of the trolley handle with a 1 meter 80 centimeters dude. But the trolley handle goes down by itself, which is a bummer. It also has a lift switch, so it's really easy to carry this wheel up and down. So comparing it to the InMotion V10F, let's bring this wheel down. First, when it comes to lighting, yeah, I have a very pro stand here. First, when it comes to lighting, let's show you guys the beam. It's a bit wider, more even, but it doesn't shine that far. So I can't really say which one is better here in those two, because this one is better if you go like slow, and this one is better if you go fast. I think all in all, I would prefer the one in the Tesla V2, but it's like both of them aren't really that great. It also has side lighting. As you can see, you can also set up your individual patterns here on the RGB strips. The power button here is on the top, really convenient location, much better location than here, for example, on the Tesla. You can't really hold the Tesla and turn it on with one hand at the same time. There is a battery indicator, which is good to see in the night. In broad daylight, not that much. And it also has a left switch and a handle. I prefer this handle to the Tesla V2 just because of the fact that it locks in place. So this is actually better than the one in the Tesla V2, in my opinion. It wobbles around a bit, but not too bad. Important thing is also it has a rear tail light, and it also flashes when you brake. So this is, I think, the turning point, which makes the features better here, better than on the Tesla. It also has a pair of speakers, which are, I think, a bit worse quality than the Teslas, but not really that important. I would advise you to ride in a JBL clip anyways. I mean, with a speaker anyways. So when it comes to the foot plates, they're flat. They're not angled like on the Tesla V2. I don't like that much, but probably I should have told you about it in the handling section. But anyways, they also have this like rubber insert underneath. I showed it in the teardown video, and they're just held in place using friction here with a screw on the bottom. I probably like the magnetic ones more, but this will also do the job. So in total, in the features department, I think, again, the InMotion V10F is the better package here. More of the important features are on the InMotion V10F. As opposed to the Tesla V2. Next thing I wanted to talk about is build quality, and these wheels really differ in their approach to build quality. So first, let's talk about the InMotion, and I gotta tell you that this wheel is just really clean, and they make a lot of InMotion wheels, a lot of V10s, and probably every comes out of the factory really similarly. So inside of the wheel, the battery pack is enclosed in 2 layers of plastic, which is really awesome, and there's also a box for the motherboard to sit in. And all in all, there's loads of silicone in the wheel. It's obviously made out of plastic, but this case can take a beating. I mean, unless you crash it really hard. They also improved the pedals over a time, because these pedals actually could crack before on the V10. I actually cracked pedals before on the InMotion V10F personally, but I was abusing it quite a while. In terms of trolley handle, it also works well, except for the jiggly bit. I think this could be still improved, but all in all, in terms of build quality in the InMotion V10, it's pretty good. Only thing probably I would improve in this wheel is just a better motherboard, which can handle more power and more performance, and a stronger fuse, because I also blew a fuse on an InMotion V10. The Tesla V2 is much different. It's actually pretty squeaky wheel if you actually go on it. Let me just show you guys. Maybe I need to screw it a bit more tightly, but I think it was like that from the beginning. Wasn't that much?
Not that much, a bit. Sure.
Okay, maybe I just need to screw it a bit more tightly. But there's a lot of plastic, and sadly in the Tesla there's quite a bit of like openings across the wheel here on the side where potentially water can come in. The motherboard is just screwed in place with 2 screws, which is not much, but the thing is, with the V2, it's just a really, really simple machine. So you have just 4 screws to get to the side panels, and then everything is basically presented to you. The cabled gauges are right, the MOSFETs are also correctly selected for this wheel. The motherboard looks quite funny with its like stacked layers of metal, but the thing is that, as in the words of Todd Howard, it just works. And since we had the wheel, we hadn't any issues with it, even though, you know, the battery packs are not really secured in place as they are on the InMotion V10F. I've heard of many riders really being happy with the Tesla V2 having stacked many kilometers on the wheel. And yeah, I think even though it's like more cheaply made, and it should definitely now come with a fuse, which is not inside, and there should be also a better battery encasing for the 2 battery packs that are on each side of the wheel. So in terms of these 2 wheels, build quality, I think that the InMotion V10 does take the lead. And if you want to have like a more complete package, more of the, you know, high mass production wheel, then yes, I think this will be better. But still, the Tesla V2 isn't like a terrible product. I think it's just more cheaper made, and it should have more improvements, definitely in terms of safety, which I'll talk about later, but not to say that it's a bad wheel. So another point for the InMotion V10F, 3-to-1. Next thing I wanted to talk about is practicality. So first let's weigh both wheels. 19.5 kilograms on the Tesla V2. And let's get the InMotion now. 20.6 or 20.7 even. Basically as advertised. So the Tesla V2 is actually the lighter wheel. I thought they were the same weight, and Kate already noticed it before that the Tesla feels lighter, and it is actually lighter. So it's 1 kilogram difference between those two. So if you have like 3 sets of stairs to go back home, then this will be probably a bit lighter, bit better. And all in all, in terms of practicality, I think both of these wheels are just really good. They both have lift sensors. They both have pretty decent trolley handles. It's pretty comfortable to carry them up and down. Their pedals work, they stay in place. They have decent lighting in the front. The Tesla doesn't have it in the rear. But I think all in all, in terms of practicality, both of these wheels are really great. Probably most of the time I would actually take the V10F if I were to go grocery shopping. But if I would go somewhere further, I would probably go with the Tesla V2. So in terms of practicality, I have to give a point to both of these wheels, because both of these wheels just perform really well in this department. Also the mud guards, even though they have no mud guards, or just really minuscule ones, they work well. And yeah, just no complaints here basically in the practicality department, maybe except for the lack of a taillight in the Tesla V2. But once again, a point here for both of the wheels, which is, I believe, 4-2 for InMotion V10F. The next category I wanted to talk about is off-road. Here, in my opinion, with no modifications, as the wheel goes out of factory, the InMotion V10F does take the crown. The pedals are way higher up off the ground. It has a wider tire. The tire has, in my eyes, also more grip. It has a higher departure angle and a higher, I don't know, arrival angle in the rear. Unless you do like crazy steep inclines, over 30 degrees steep, the InMotion V10F will be just better. The only advantages on the Tesla is that it has actually more power and more range. But I gotta tell you, if I wanted to go somewhere off-roading, I wouldn't take the Tesla V2. I would just take the InMotion V10F. So another point for the V10F. The next category is safety. And this is pretty interesting because there are some things that are better on the Tesla and some things that are better on the InMotion here. In terms of the Tesla and safety, the upsides are that the motherboard is really powerful and probably it can take on a heavier rider than the InMotion V10F, especially with more demanding day-to-day riding. So the motherboard is better, I think, on the Tesla V2, but sadly the Tesla doesn't have any fuse. So once something happens with the battery pack or something just goes haywire, probably the motherboard will burn. The next downside of the V2 is that the battery packs are not protected like they are, for example, on the InMotion V10F. And if you just connect a cable here in the front, or if there's like some sort of short, there will be a spark in here. And if something really bad happens, it can also damage the battery. There's also no fuse on the motherboard, so if you were to somehow push too much performance out of the wheel, especially when, for example, braking at high speed with a full battery in the winter, you might potentially, there's a very low chance of that, but potentially you can damage the battery pack. The InMotion V10F, on the other hand, has a bit of a weaker motherboard, and I burned the fuse here in this wheel already, and pretty much in every InMotion except for the V11. It's more possible that you will damage this wheel when riding really hard, but the good thing is that there is a fuse, so there will be no harm done to the battery packs, and also the charge port is secured, so there is no current flowing through the charge port when nothing is connected. So if you connect a charging cable to the InMotion V10F without having any electricity in there, there will be no spark. So this is also better. And the motherboard is also more safely secured in place in the V10F, but again, with a heavier rider, with extreme riding, you're more prone to damage the V10F than the Tesla V2. Still, I have to give this point to the InMotion V10F because it has more safety precautions than the Tesla V2, and Begode or GotWay have to just add a fuse to their motherboards, and they have to add some sort of safe charge port system on their wheels. The next thing I wanted to talk about is serviceability. So how easy is it to make a tire change or possibly a motherboard swap on these wheels? And these wheels also differ in this regard quite a bit. So on the Tesla V2, there's like far less screws on the wheel. I think it's easier to disassemble. You don't even need to take off the pedals to get access to the side panels. Everything is really simply laid out in the Tesla V2, and if I told you to make a motherboard swap on the wheel, you would be probably able to do it. Maybe a downside is that you have to actually slide the motherboard out from the side on the wheel, and there's quite a bit of cables and a cable salad inside, which you need to untangle. But other than that, I think that the Tesla V2 is pretty good for serviceability. It's quite easy to take out the tire along with the hangers to change the tire, but you need to disconnect the motor wiring separately on the motherboard as opposed to the InMotion V10F. In terms of the InMotion V10F, I think it's easier to damage some screws here, and there's far more screws in this wheel than on the Tesla V2, but at the same time it's also quite easy to perform a tire change. I think actually even a bit easier than on the Tesla V2, as there's a multi-connector sort of for the motor wiring, which makes the tire swap just pretty easy. When it comes to other parts, it's really just like an origami to just get one part out and then the second one, and then you just need to remember where all the screws were. It has also modules for lighting front and rear, and I don't know, I think in terms of just serviceability and ease of use, I don't really know which one would be better. I think all in all, the InMotion might be the cleaner assembled wheel, but the Tesla V2, it just uses less screws and has a simpler layout, and I think it's more easy to see where things go on the Tesla as opposed to the InMotion V10F. So here I think also a point for both of them. The next thing I wanted to talk about is waterproofing. And I gotta tell you, I rode both wheels in snow and in rain, and they are both fine. So they both work, but I can tell you which one potentially will work better than the others. The Tesla V2 has the motherboard on the top, which is awesome. So, you know, if the motherboard would be on the bottom and if there's some sort of water or some sort of, you know, debris getting in, then it's better than it's on the top than on the bottom. It's pretty well sealed actually from the bottom, from the sides. Potentially water can come in through these, behind these LED strips, or just, you know, in the front, maybe here somewhere around the lighting unit, but I didn't actually find much dirt inside, or any dirt inside of the wheel when disassembling it, and it has already like 400 kilometers on the clock. There's also these, you know, speaker holes on the side, which in my eyes should be closed, or there should be some more of a water resistant mesh there, but you know, the wheel works, and I'm sure that there's a lot of people out in the world who have ridden the Tesla V2 in rain, in snow, and it just works. But the InMotion V10F is, I think, the better wheel here, as it has a cover for the motherboard. So even if something would get into the wheel, there's actually still a cover if water were to seep in there. The cover has a couple of holes on the sides, but it's definitely way better than having nothing. There's also more silicone along the wheel from the inside of the wheel well, which is not present on the Tesla. In the Tesla, there's like a bit of tape on the top, which is quite funny. And the battery is also really safely secured in place. There's 2 layers of plastic securing the battery, and it's on the top. And there's basically no way for water to get in, as it's really tightly assembled. And yeah, I think that's just great. So I think if you want the more waterproof wheel, the InMotion V10F is the winner here. So let's move on to the last category, and we move on to value. So which wheel is basically for you? If you want to get the most buck for your bank, or bang for your buck, then I think the Tesla is the winner here, because it has a bigger range, it has a bigger battery capacity, it's faster. Yeah, it's just a zippy commuter. You know, it doesn't have all the safety. I think it also doesn't have the same build quality as the V10F, but yeah, I think this wheel will get you places, and it's still really commute friendly. It has a good performance, and for heavier riders, if you pump up the tire nicely, I think it will be the better choice between those two. If you want the better quality wheel, and if you want a better waterproofed wheel, just a, I think, better assembled wheel, then the InMotion V10F is for you. It has also more app features. It has the lights up front and back. So I think for the same price, it is a better overall package than the Tesla V2. So for me personally, if I were to pick one of these 2 wheels up, having, you know, all the other wheels at home, I would probably take the V10F, because it has the trolley handle, lift switch, and it's just, you know, very thin, easy to maneuver, whatnot. But we will actually take the Tesla V2, because this will be Kate's wheel. And Kate you can say everything why you like the Tesla V2 more than the InMotion V10F.
Wait.
So which wheel do you... Okay, I see which wheel you like more.
Yeah, so I chose the Tesla V2 over the InMotion V10F. The main point is it is chunkier, which makes me easier to grip it while I'm riding. I feel through that point way more secure, because on the V10F I always have the feeling it just wobbles around, also due to the fact that the battery is on the upper part and it's a lot of weight there. So it just feels for me very unstable to ride it. Also the power button, I have to, on both wheels I have to use both hands to turn on the wheel, because I have short fingers and I can't reach the button nicely in order to turn it on. Like, it's very uncomfortable. So I just use 2 hands, same as this one, but on this one I can see the button nicer, especially in the evening if you go out for evening ride, because it's just brighter. This one is just black, as the whole EUC. So about lifting, also small hands. I can't lift it that well, because the trolley handle is on top of the handle, thing, and so it's easier if I want to grip this one. And I also have, it's a bit lighter, which is for me also the nicer choice if I want to carry it up one curve.
Yeah. What about like when you lift this up?
Yes,
I mean, how is the handle then?
The handle then? Then the handle is pretty nice, but
yeah, you don't want to do that every time.
I don't want to do that every time, and also I don't like this mechanism. Of course, the trolley handle of the V2 always is like a bit of its own creature. It falls in very easily and doesn't close that nicely. But this one is for me like very uncomfortable to hold. It's very awkward to hold. And this button is also for me not the best solution.
What about like performance?
Performance, if you ride around, especially with Adam, then I would also definitely choose the Tesla V2 because I have more range, higher top speed and just more power. And if you ride around with people that also have stronger wheels like the MSX and the veteran Sherman, it is way easier to catch up and do like a similar amount of range, or like at least some sort of similar amount of range in comparison to this one.
Yeah, fun fact is actually when I was riding on the MSX,
Yeah.
we were getting a very similar range with you on a Tesla and me on the MSX.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, but I was dying at the end.
Yeah, you were.
I was like screaming at me when I was going over 30. So.
Oh yeah, and the feeling on the pedals?
Yeah, the feeling on the pedals, since they are angled and those are not. It's also easier to just grab it. It's just very grabbable. The whole wheel, it's just grabbable.
And unwobbleable.
And unwobbleable. And I also like the magnetic pads on this one. I think that's it.
Thanks, Kate.
Bye.
So, if you're still here, leave a like on the video, subscribe to see more content like this. I'll see you in the next video. See you soon.